Hello, beautiful people. How we doing? We are back at it once again, and this is the book "Excuse Me, Your Life Is Waiting" by Lynn Grabhorn. We are in chapter 9. This has been a tough chapter because it's all about relationships and treasures and forgiveness. I'm still whirling over yesterday with that video because there was a lot of stuff to think about. So we are now into part 44. um, what did you guys think of the last of yesterday's? When it really comes to being able to truly forgive and what that means, and knowing that if we don't, there's consequences, right? And that's the key here is just understanding that there are consequences to our actions. So it's not just like, hey, well, I'm not going to forgive you. It's the idea of now knowing that by not holding by holding on to that grudge, you're now destined to attract more of it or more things like that to feel that way. So we're just kind of, and I think that was the thing that I couldn't quite get that I get now, right? It's the consequences. So we got to think more about the consequences. So I am sitting better with it today. Um, so definitely, you guys comment down below. Let me know how you guys think, and let's go ahead and continue on. How can I help? All right, here we go.
I have a mate. How can I help? I have a mate who is disabled. How can I help him? I have a mate out of work. What can I do to help? I have a brother who is angry at the world. Is there anything I can do? We all want to help. We want to give, or do, or say something that will make it better for someone. But take care. A helping hand is not always what it appears to be. If you think about those questions for a minute, you'll see the focus is squarely on the other guy. And when it's on the other guy's pain, you're joining with that vibration, merging it with your own until your valve becomes as closed as theirs. Your focus is on the negative condition, which is giving you more negative feelings than you had to begin with. And even worse, you're helping your friend to more negativity than they had before you joined up with them vibrationally. So how do you help? The first thing to do is get into a good feeling place and get your own valve open before you do any thinking about the person. Then you can inspire, not ensure, just inspire that same valve openness in the person you're thinking about. You're no longer attempting to paint on their canvas, but you're genuinely offering them paints and brushes. On the other hand, if you keep thinking about how awful it is that your someone has cancer, or is out of a job, or just had their house burned down, that lackful vibration stands to reinforce the lackful vibration they're already in.
Hmm.
Instead, as you think about them, see them the way you want them to be. If there's anything within them wanting to move forward, your bursts of positive, loving energy will have a strong influence on their thinking, feeling, and being. That's why prayers for the sick so rarely work. When we see the one for whom the prayer is being offered as being deficient in some way, we're coming from a place of lack. We are viewing that person as deficient in some way, when in fact, they are every bit as adequate as any power in the universe.
Yes.
They've just forgotten. And for a time, so did those of us doing the praying. I have a friend whose father was dying of an empty life 3,000 miles away on the opposite coast. Every night as she went to sleep, she would send her father healing thoughts, hoping to help him come around. But in her own saddened state, she was seeing him in his lack, alone and melancholy, a pathetic picture of a man without friends, without incentive, without the will to live. He kept getting worse. Then she got wind of the law of attraction and realized she had been doing exactly the opposite of what had been her intent. After that, as she lay in bed each night, she would see her dad as he used to be, vital, filled with fun, spirited, gregarious. She refelt the wonderful times they had playing tennis together and the merriment of the family ice skating on the local pond. She could feel herself just melt into the joy of those feelings and times. Within 3 days, her dad called, saying he felt better than he had felt in years, and would it be okay if he came out for a visit?
Mm.
Was she responsible for this change? Only in providing her dad with an opportunity to pick up these new paints and brushes. She had given him a vibrational leg up, much like we might toss a life jacket to someone. They can grab it or not, but the choice is theirs, and theirs alone.
Mm.
Breaking up. Should I? Shouldn't I? Should I? Shouldn't I?
Mm.
We've all gone through it. That disturbing period when we know it's time to do something, but the answers just don't seem to come. Or we don't want to get them. If you've been exploring the ins and outs of deliberate creating with the law of attraction, and your mate hasn't, you may be in for a little pulling apart, unless good old mate decides to come along. If you've offered paints and brushes till you're purple with no response, then you might be in for some pulling apart. Or maybe you're ready to pull apart anyhow. Either way, let's take a look at some new ways to consider this breaking up scene. First off, we've got another one of those emotionally charged words to deal with. This time it's relationship. Not real high on most people's feel-good lists, that's for sure. Just thinking of that word packs almost as much negative wallop as money. Maybe it started with our own family, or maybe just with our own troublesome partnerships, or both. It doesn't matter. The very word relationship evokes a mixed bag of longings and shivers in the same breath. So it stands to reason, pre-becoming a deliberate creator, that when we break up, or are faced with that possibility, or even if we've already done it, the thought of getting into a new tangled web is not always enticing. And yet, that's what we do. Get right back into another twosome with the same script, or worse. Only the players have changed. We gotta change the script. If we want it different, either now or with the next relationship, we gotta see it and feel it to be different. If we want it different, we gotta change the script. Let's say you're out of it now, living by yourself. You're enjoying this deliberate creating routine. And so you decide you're ready for a venture with a new partner. But what's the first thing you think about? The old one. And 9 times out of 10, that thinking comes packed with some heavy negative vibrations. Just like the attractive model who couldn't get the kind of guy she wanted, you become locked right back in to attracting a clone of the last one, or worse. You have to change the script and get those vibrations you're holding on to out. You have to manufacture somehow a revised feeling about your ex. If you don't, if you keep holding on for dear life to the resentments, angers, and peeves, your next go-around can't help but be the same sort of thing or worse, because that's the vibration you're putting out. Resentments, angers, and peeves. What you vibrate is what you get. You can't vibrate with thoughts of back there and expect to get something totally different up here. This might not be thrilling news to you, but relationships never die. They never cease. Just by virtue of the 2 of you, or 3 of you, or 20 of you, having been together in a house, or an office, or a club, you have a vibrational tie that never stops. So if you let any one of those ties remain negative, well, you know the rest. That vibration will be forever radiating out from you, looking for its match. Maybe you lived with a physical abuser, or maybe just a jerk. If you don't want more of the same, you have to find something to love about that blockhead, something you can appreciate to let you break the negative vibrational ties. Otherwise, no matter how long you wait between partners, and no matter how much so called healing you think you've done, you'll be pulling in the same junky things you didn't like about your ex because you're still focused on them, grumbling over them, telling friends how glad you are to be rid of them, not to mention being mad at yourself for putting up with them for so long. If you're thinking about it and feeling it, you're still vibrating it, so you will attract it. Same thing with blameful focus on our parents. We get what we focus on, pure and simple. So it's an odds-on bet that if you had ugly stuff in your childhood that you're still hanging on to, you're a shoo-in to attract it in some kind of relationship, whether in marriage, with neighbors, or at work. But back to your current situation. Let's say you're still involved with the relationship, still living or working together with a question as to whether you should or shouldn't remain. Now is the time to take your focus off the conditions. Ask yourself what's been bothering you and start getting those negative vibrations reversed. That may or may not make a difference in your present relationship, but it will definitely take your focus off the problem so you can get some answers. For you can only get answers, inspiration, ideas, etc., when you unhook your focus from the problem and move to a higher frequency. So love them, whether or not they were or are lovable. Appreciate them, no matter how justified you may be in sticking pins in their voodoo doll. Break the chain of negative attraction, then you can find your answers as to leaving or staying. And if you do leave, you won't be attracting a clone on the same old negative wavelength.
Ooh, boy.
Chain of pain.
I did not know this. I don't, what's crazy is that listening to all of this, I don't remember any of this. And, this is so interesting because I've read this book numerous times, but it's always about where you are in life. And yeah, recently, not too long ago, I had a breakup. But just the relationships with people and knowing that I do kind of have a tendency to want to hold on to grudges even now. I don't know about you guys, but this is definitely hitting home. And it's a very uh in a good way triggering situation, because all these things she's saying is absolutely correct, but yet I resist it. So you guys comment down below, how do you feel about this? Right, I mean, this is a heavy chapter, but it's much needed, definitely, for sure. And I think it's something that's very important, that we look at all areas of our life and not just only one, right? We want to focus on everything. And that's really what I love about this book, is that it is covering and focusing on everything, not just, one thing in particular, because this is what creates balance in our lives. And, yeah, this one's definitely one to sit on. I definitely want to listen to this a couple more times, because I can definitely relate. That was a definite heavy part to listen to. So, if you guys haven't already, like and subscribe. Make sure that you do hit the notification button so that you don't miss any of this great content. And let's get back at this again tomorrow. So until next time, you guys make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.